Hey, what's up soldiers, my name is GregFPS and welcome back to another Call of Duty Black Ops 3 Zombies video. Today what I have for you guys is a really crazy storyline video and the possibility of a new DLC and where that DLC is actually going to take place. This is going to be really intensive, guys. I spent a lot of time putting all the information together. This literally took me like 5 hours to gather all the information and kind of lay it out in a way that I could portray it to you guys that seems logical as well as easy to understand. So hope you guys enjoy, and without further ado, let's get right into it. I'm going to be posting a lot more videos like this in the next coming weeks because this is actually the first storyline video after the release of Horizon Drac. So hope you guys do enjoy, and without further ado, let's get right into it. So back in Origins, that was the last Black Ops 2 DLC map. That was the beginning. That's where all 4 of the original characters met for the first time. They were all set there for different purposes. It took place in France in 1917, I believe, or 18. And honestly, this is really where everything began on this new universe, this new storyline where the Giant takes place, where Horizon Drac takes place. Now, getting back to it, guys, this is where they all met, and they were sent for different reasons. For example, Tank Dempsey was set there to acquire the package, aka Richtofen, and there he's cutting Max's head open, and that's why we have the Max's drone on Origins, things like that. You know, Takeo was sent by the Emperor, and I don't really know why Nikolai was sent there. I never really found out, but I'm assuming it has to do with someone in power in Russia. So that's why the 4 main characters are there, and that caused the grouping of Group 935. This is the team that we follow through multiple maps, going way back to the original Doris map. Now, basically, this is really important because we need to realize that all 4 of these people coming together and, you know, starting Group 935 is where we're at now. You know, they're an established group and they're really important. And if you piece together the different scraps of paper that were found on Origins, this is actually the first map that had different pieces of paper that you had to group together to form one big image. We have a picture of the 4 main characters and it says Primis underneath it. Now on Horizon Drac, there is actually a cipher that explains this, and this is what it says. After the great battle, they stood on the mound, their light shone down and cleansed all the sickness as far as the eye could see. They are the first, they are the last, visions of fractured worlds and strange rooms haunted our dreams. So this is basically talking about Primis. As we can see in the picture of Primis, we have the 4 main characters. You know, they have a light behind them, they're holding the staffs from Origins, and they look as if they're gods. You know, they look like they're, you know, of higher authority than all the people that you can see in the crowd. And this is very interesting, and we also know that this is what exactly we are talking about. From this cipher, we can tell that Primis. There's also different talks about the Great Battle. After the Great Battle, they stood on the mound. So there's a great battle that's going to be happening, and just a little bit of information. If you guys didn't know, there's actually those wall runs that you can run on in Shadows of Evil actually shows a great battle going on. It's pretty cool. It's kind of hard to understand, but that is something we're going to be seeing in most likely DLC 4. So getting back on track, guys, where are we going to be going next for the different DLC maps? Now, we have already killed the original Richtofen, where he shot them in the Giant cutscene, and that is really where we kill Richtofen, on the Giant, and then we kill Dempsey in the final cutscene of the Horizon Drac Easter egg. So most people are thinking, okay, we're gonna have to kill Takeo as well as Nikolai, and that's what I think. And I just want to dive into where this possibly could be and where these next maps are going to take place. This is actually another cipher on Horizon Drac, and this is right next to the KRM wall buy. If you look through the window, there's a cipher, and the cipher says, after the success at the Rising Sun facility, Division 9 is moving with Phase 2. The island facility is now operational, and initial testing is underway. So this is really crazy, because what is Division 9? I honestly think it's another group that's kind of like 935, but they're Japanese. After the success at the Rising Sun facility. Now, if you guys didn't know, Japan has always been known as kind of the Rising Sun. That's what their flag symbolizes, and that's what the actual symbol on their flag, you know, means. So Honestly, we're talking about Japan here. We're talking about the Rising Sun facility. Now, Japan is obviously in Asia, and it's a group of islands to make up Japan, and below it is where, they were fighting during World War II. They were fighting in all those different islands that are scattered underneath, and this is honestly where this map could possibly take place. Now, on the pictures that you can find, or scraps of paper that you can find on Shadows of Evil, it actually formed different locations on the world map. It's kind of longitude and latitude for different locations. Now, the first location was actually Werfen, Austria, and when you go on Dreisendrach on the loading screen, it says near Werfen, Austria, which is crazy because that means that was actually a real location where we had a map go, and this could possibly be other locations, those 3 on the map, for the remainder of the DLC, which is absolutely insane and really crazy to think about, because it's basically giving us the actual locations of where we're going to be going, which is awesome. So now that we got this, we got another location, and this is for Pompeii. Now, this is not Pompeii where Mount Vesuvius was a volcano that exploded, erupted, and killed a bunch of Greek people or Greece people. I don't really even know too much about that anymore, but honestly, it's a different island completely. It's in the Pacific. It has luscious greens and everything like that. And like I said from the cipher that I just read, after the success at the Rising Sun facility, Division 9 is moving with Phase 2. The island facility is now operational and initial testing is underway. So guys, this puts together a lot of different things. Division 9, like I said, is most likely another group, kind of like Group 935, but we don't really know too much about them yet. We only have one other cipher that kind of talks about them, but we still don't really know too much. Now, getting back into this, guys, Division 9 is a Japanese facility, and we know that Takeo is from Japan. So this could be a possible thing, talking about maybe Takeo is a spy for Japan, and that's why he was placed into Group 935 to kind of investigate, because he was sent by the Emperor to investigate what the German forces were doing and things like that. Now, as we know, German and Japan were allies in World War II, but we haven't really reached that point. It still is 1945, but this alternate universe does not have World War II. We've only had World War I after this, so it's definitely crazy and definitely really interesting. So let's get into the next thing, and this is actually the scraps of paper found on Dreisendrach, and what it does is it forms an actual letter to the Emperor from Takeo, and this is really crazy. Now, basically, there's a rough translation of it that's really hard to understand, so I'm just gonna talk about a few different things. Basically, what ends up happening, if you guys read through this whole thing, I'll put a link down in the description, you guys can read it for yourself, but basically it says, "To my beloved and respected Emperor, since I landed on the island, I have been continuing inspection and recording of activities carried out by the 9th Division. Nevertheless, in spite of mine under the Majesty's direct command, the division has begun questioning my intentions. To this end, I am now restricted entry and exit from the majority of the research areas." So we don't really know when this actually takes place, but we would assume that this takes place after Dreisendrach. Now, we know that Takeo was sent by the Emperor. He was handpicked. He was the warrior that was going to be going. Now, we can think that Takeo is a spy, but we don't really know too many more details that have to go into this. But now Division 9 is keeping Takeo kind of as a spy. They're not really sure about him. They're worried about what he actually has to do, and we don't really know how this is actually going to fit into the storyline, but it seems that the 9th Division also has some weirdly weird test subject stuff going on as well. Another part of the letter says, "As far as I have been able to discern, the research carried out by the 9th Division is far beyond the realm of normal accepted practice. In fact, I can't describe those aberrant weapons, research methods, methods as anything but abnormal. Not only are we using prisoners of war as guinea pigs, the troop is trying to control even the supernatural powers hidden within Element 115. On these grounds, I feel that if we continue to allow them to do as they please, dark clouds loom ominously head ahead for our great nation. So they are definitely Japanese. I mean, this is Takeo basically explaining that Division 9, they're not doing anything good, and they're, part of the Japanese thing, because Takeo is sending this to the Emperor. Now, there's a lot more information within this letter, and I don't really know everything that it has to piece together, but what we can kind of draw from these different things is the Rising facility was a success, and they're moving on to phase 2, where the island facility is now operational, and that was from that first cipher that is found near the KRM wall by looking through the window. Alright guys, I know this is really hard to understand, but another place that is actually on the picture that we pieced together from Shadows of Evil, there's another location, and that is Stalingrad, or a place near Stalingrad in Russia. Now if we look into World War II, that is actually a famous battlefield where Russia fought against the Nazis and the German party, and the Nazis were not prepared. A lot of them died from like starvation and also just from cold weather and things like that. So this is really interesting. And there's another cipher on Horizondrak that also reads, Division 9 has completed the resurrection of the ancient beast for your eastern front. We expect Group 935 to reciprocate the favor. So this is really interesting, because actually on the eastern front, that's where the Battle of Stalingrad took place between the Nazi party and Russia. So it's pretty interesting. I'm probably going to make another video about that, guys, but for right now, what I really wanted to get from this entire video was that chances are we're going to be fighting or going to Pompeii at a test facility, and this is most likely where we're going to be fighting for Takeo and killing Takeo, the original Takeo. There's also a possibility that we don't do that either, though, because as we know, we killed Tank Dempsey in Austria, which has nothing to do with their homeland. I mean, honestly, this island seems a little too close to Japan to actually be it. Treyarch could just be, destroying our minds and not really knowing where they're going, and that is totally true, because Treyarch always does this to us. So as for right now, we can kind of clue in and think that this test facility on Pompeii's island is important. We have the geographical location, we have different things about Division 9 being taken there, and we have a letter from Takeo to the Emperor where Division 9 is kind of restricting Takeo totally. So anyways guys, thank you for watching this video. I know it was very long and very hard to understand everything. I spent a lot of time, like I said in the beginning, on this video, so really hope you guys did enjoy. My name is GregFPS, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.